Hey everybody, it's Lynn Pratt. Thanks for joining me today while I pick some colors for the next painting I'm starting. I start out by looking through my swatch book. So I have a whole bunch of coin collector sheets that I've made little cards, and I've put all of my paint colors on them, labeled them, put whether they're transparent, opaque, the durability of them, and all of the pigment codes. I have a line of India ink that I put them over so I can see if the paint is completely transparent, opaque, if I really see it, so I know how it will do with layering. So once I've looked through my book and pick out the colors that I want to use for a certain painting, then I come over and I get my little tubs of paint. So these are just tiny little plastic tubs. I have squeezed my tube paint out into them. I label them and then just seal them. When I'm ready to use them, I just open them up. I put a couple sprays of water in them, and it's just like using a palette. However, they stay super moist and it keeps my paints really great. So for this one, I am using marine blue, peacock, and Prussian blue. So I just use a square palette plate. This one is literally just a simple plate. A lot of times I use ceramic. This one's actually a plastic plate. I like to have a nice big drip edge on the side and a nice flat center. I like having them square, so when I have a piece of paper and my paint, instead of a circle plate, the square plate fits nicely and I lose less space on my desk. So next I just take a piece of scrap paper that I've gotten off the edge, and I want to make sure that all of these colors blend and work together. So here is my marine blue, and it's just such a beautiful deep blue-green color. I've got my peacock blue, and I just want to make sure that the two mix nicely, that one doesn't just get sucked into the other, and that they form a nice color where they mix. My other one is Prussian blue, so I can put this one on and make sure that this mixes in here as well. I can also do it on the other side, just to make sure that that mixes with the other color as well, and that I don't get some weird, strange, off color in the middle. Sometimes you think you have a blue and a red and you're gonna mix it and get purple, but when you mix them, you actually get kind of a strange color in the middle. So I wanna make sure that when I mix my paint, the color that is resulting is actually a color that I want. So now that I've tested these together for this more simple painting I'm doing, I know that they all work really well, that I can get a really dark using my Prussian blue, and that I can get a lot lighter with all of the colors. So if I just add some water into all of them on the edges, I can see that I can really blend them out to a lighter color as well. So these are all things I need to know before moving into my painting. So now that I have my colors chosen, I've tested them out, I know that they mix well, I'm all set to get started painting. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's paint. I wanted to show you quickly how I came up with the image that I painted from for this quick little painting. So I tried out some different fonts at the top to say the name of my lake, which is Lake St. Catherine. So I really like this font, but I'll show you just a different one I tried to give you an idea. So I tried this one as well, a fancier script, and I kind of just played around with things until I found something that I really liked. For my life is better at the lake quote, I found a couple images. I tried some different fonts that I have in my computer as well, and just came up with something I liked. This was my other option that I had come up with some different fonts as well. So I can do this in many different ways by just switching up the different fonts and things like that, the different images that I have on there. In order to get the image of my lake, I looked up online and I found a map of my lake that I wanted to put on. Then I simply went in and just started deleting the area around it, and then I just copied just my center lake image and put it on my paper. And then I got a compass that I just got a simple image of off the internet, something that I liked, and put it in there. I can resize, adjust, move everything around on here. And then I have something to go by so that I'm not just freehand drawing and putting it right onto my paper. This way I can really kind of move things around, see if I would rather have this up here, down below, over here. You just really get a chance to move things around and see how you want them laid out on your paper. Once I came up with my final image, I printed it out on my printer and then just simply transferred it right onto my paper with tracing paper. This way I have exactly what I want down and I know it's exactly where I want it and all my scripts are perfect. I then took a permanent black pen and just traced some of the details on my compass instead of painting that area in. I had all my colors picked and I just did a wet into wet application to go through all of my wording and my lake. Instead of wetting the entire full word at a time, I simply started at one corner and wet ahead of where I was going and then added colors in one at a time and just let them blend right in on the paper. So as I was going, I just added more paint and more water so it had a nice blending effect as I went along. The next part is a lot of fun, but a little bit messy. So I clear just about everything off of my desk, make sure that if I have my paintings in the corner, I have a board or something over them because I always have them stacked here. So, and I just take an old shipping box, I tape up the corners, and I just sit my painting in the bottom. That way I know that I'm not going to get stuff all over the place. If it's good weather and you can easily go outside, that's another option. But I like to do it in here if I can, and I just put a box in so I don't make too much of a mess. Once I have my painting all set in my box, I take a slightly larger brush. This is just a 16 Holbein Gold round. And then I'm just gonna put a watery mix in it so it's not dripping, but it's pretty wet. And then I just take my finger and splatter. You can do as little or as much as you want, obviously. But I think things like this look kind of fun. Having some of those splatters, obviously the more water that you put in the brush, the more splatters you're gonna have and the lighter. So you want a good variety of different ones. You don't want everything super dark. And you wanna use the different colors that you have, things like that, just to give it a little bit more character. The other way that you can do this as well is using a paintbrush. Not a paintbrush, a toothbrush. So if you have an old toothbrush, I just bought some cheap ones from the dollar store. You can easily put some paint on them and you just take your finger and spray it like this. You get a much finer mist and you can make it much more directional. So you just take it and go like this right across the top to kind of get a different look so that it's not all big drops. And again, I'm going to do it in each of the colors I have so that I have a nice different look there. But I really like doing this to a painting. I think it adds some character, to it, especially when it's something like this that's a little bit more simple. I think it makes it a lot more fun to have these splatters and things like that on it. Thanks for joining me to make this fun little poster. Make sure if you do it, you post it and tag me so I can see what you came up with. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's paint.